All right. So what I thought is I'll do a brief recording and show you how FoodWorks will work to help you create your nutrition labels. So the current FoodWork version which we have, it is not very different from what Chris has recorded. In Chris's version, everything is horizontal in nature. It comes on the top. Over here, when you create your nutrition label, details come over here vertically. So that's the key main difference that I found. But everything else is according to what was advised in the previous video. So you first have to go to create workspace, then go to nutrition label. When you click on nutrition label, you then have to provide a label name. I have already created a label name, and then you have to press create once you create it. This is the mock example which I have created for you. So it was the same way. You go to nutrition, create workspace, you go to nutrition label and click on nutrition label, add in the label, nutrition label that you want to create. So you can call this pumpkin loaf or however you would like to term it, then press create. Okay, this is what I have created as an example to show all of you. So now when you click on it, you first have to add in your recipes, just like how Chris taught you previously. You cannot, so over here when you go, you have to first add in your raw materials. Once you have your raw materials, then you can create a recipe, and from a recipe you generate a nutrition label. Okay, so the chronology is first add in raw materials. After you create your raw materials, you have to add in recipe, and after you create your recipe, then can you generate a nutrition label. Okay, so when I click on raw material, I have already created 2 raw materials. Okay, so I'm not creating a third one over here. So I have created pumpkin as a raw material. Alright, so remember this pear looking sign is a raw material sign. So I have already created 2 raw materials. One is pumpkin and one is wheat loaf. Alright, so with pumpkin over here, these are the sort of details that you need to add. So what is the name of your raw material that you're adding in? Pumpkin. And what is that? Compound ingredient. I have taught you what compound ingredient is. Okay, and this could be based upon what you are adding. For me, pumpkin is my compound ingredient. Okay, then what is the declaration name? Declaration name is quite mandatory. You can just keep it as pumpkin. We are not changing the name. We are just going to vocalize pumpkin as pumpkin. We are not creating any other fancy name. This is just for our label generation purposes. Okay, so pumpkin. Then ingredient group is vegetable. Okay, why? Because pumpkin is a vegetable. All right, so vegetable over here. Okay, and all of this is optional. You can add details in this as required and create personal notes for yourself, so it becomes easier, but that is just a choice. Then you go to nutrients. In nutrients you have to complete all of this, otherwise your label will not be generated. Okay, so over here, for example, I have added 20 grams of pumpkin, and 20 grams of pumpkin costs me like 50 cents, for example, which is why I have written this. Then the pumpkin is 100% made in Australia. All right, then this I have taught you how to do the FVNL calculations. Okay, so that is what it is based upon. I have just entered hypothetical data, guys. You have to do your FVNL calculations. Okay, so this is what I have done for this one. Then all of this is as it is. All right, then warning statements, you have to complete all of the warning statements. This is just simple pumpkin, so everything is no over here. Is pumpkin suitable for vegans, lacto-vegetarians? Yes, yes, yes. So basic things like that. So complete this. All right. Any override will be considered. Otherwise, the default values over here will be carry forwarded. All right. So this is how you do the nutrients. Measure tab is nothing which I have added in. Okay, so you can play around with it if you would like to. The most important thing is the general tab, where you put the name of your raw material. Declaration name can be the same as the original name. Then label declaration, what is it? Is it a very important ingredient? Yes, pumpkin is an important ingredient, okay, for us, which is why I have put it as a compound ingredient. Okay, so this is as simple as it can get. Add in all of this nutrient details. Okay, so over here, this is the pumpkin which I have selected. So how did I select that? This is where you type in pumpkin over here. Okay, and then the first one is what I selected just as an example. I'll close this. All right, and then always press save. Do not forget to press save. All right, and over here, this will just show you everything that is being generated. So this little arrow over here, you can pull it this side. Okay, so it will show you everything that is being generated over here. Okay, so hope that makes sense. And press save. Then you go to there's a second ingredient, second raw material that I created, which is wheat loaf. The same protocol follows. Wheat flour is what I added the name. Declaration name, wheat flour again. Ingredient group, this falls into cereal group, therefore whole grain. Okay, so these are the most mandatory things which are needed over here. Then nutrients, as I have advised, you need to complete all of this. Now wheat flour doesn't have any fruit and veggie etc. It's just wheat flour. Therefore the values are 0 and 0. Okay, so no fruit and veggie concentrate, no fruit and veggie, natural fruit and veggie. This is just wheat flour. So that's why it's 0 and 0. And everything else is completed as advised previously. Okay, so wheat flour, does it contain wheat? Obviously, wheat flour contains wheat, and this is a gluten-rich wheat flour. Okay, it is not a gluten-free flour. So, yep, I have just added in a few maybes over here that, yeah, this may have traces of soy if it was manufactured in a place which had traces of soy. This also the same protocol follows, and you will be able to see over here how it is generating all the details which are needed for this raw ingredient. Okay, so this is how you have to add in all of your raw ingredients first. Then you can create a recipe. How do you create a recipe? Go to new again, create a recipe. Okay, so when you click on recipe, then you can create a recipe. Okay, so here you can create a recipe like this. I have already created a recipe over here, pumpkin loaf, but you know how to do this now. New and then recipe. Okay, so this is my pumpkin loaf recipe which I have created, the shell of it, a name pumpkin loaf, and over here, as you know, category will always be 2 for all of you. Then you go to your ingredient. Okay, so this is where I have added in the ingredient. Okay, so I've added in pumpkin. So you have to type over here. So when you start typing, then the ingredients that you have created, those are the only one which you can add into this, which is why it is important for first to create your raw materials or ingredients so that you can add into your pumpkin loaf recipe. Okay, so when you start typing, these things will pop up and then you can select. So I have said that, yep, pumpkin 20 grams is what I added in my recipe, and wheat flour 100 grams. Okay, a number of serve 2. What is yield? Over here you can see yield is what? So yield percentage indicates the weight change of the recipe, accounting for any losses during cooking. So when you cook, you may lose water, your product may lose weight, it may undergo a little bit of dehydration. So it is final weight divided by raw weight into 100. Okay, so for instance, I said hypothetically the final weight may be say 180 grams, raw weight could be 200 grams, and that is how I got a yield of 90%. Okay, So that is something which you can measure pre and post. What was the final weight? What was the raw weight? That is something which you can do. I'm saying that it serves 2 people. I'm just making little batch of pumpkin loaf. Don't have to feed the entire class. So make little batches, save money, save ingredients. Okay. Then once you add this, then the most important thing which you want is labeling. So methods, I haven't, you can create a method over here. Okay. The details about how you have made your pumpkin loaf and overrides. I haven't done any overrides over here, but you are very welcome to do that. Okay, so this is the override, meaning any detailing that you have for the entire pumpkin loaf. Okay, this is not for one single raw ingredient. This is for the entire pumpkin loaf. So for your pumpkin loaf, what is your FVNL score? What is your concentrated fruit and veggie score? Okay. So these are the kind of things which you can add in over here from the calculator that I have showed you for nutrient profiling. Okay, so remember this override is there any change over here depending upon the entire pumpkin loaf when it is once generated? This will automatically generate, and yep, this will be based upon all the ingredients that you have entered in, based upon the amount that you have entered in. Okay, over here, if you want any override, you can do that. Okay, otherwise it will just take the default values. What are the default values? They are over here. Okay, but you can now do any of the overrides which you want over here. Okay, measure over here. I haven't changed anything because I've kept it pretty simple, but you can trial test this and see if you want to make any changes. Then comes the most interesting thing of your interest is labeling. So yep, pumpkin loaf is just a simple example. Pumpkin loaf is going to be my label name, for instance. It serves 2 people. What are the preparation instructions? Just kept it very basic for your, as an example for your understanding. Microwave for 10 minutes. Then net weight is 180 grams. Okay, so just kept basic information over here. Your net weight is not always equal to your serving size. Your weight may or may not be say less or more, so do have a check. So it does not have to be 180 grams. As I said, it could be 120 grams, 110 grams, depending upon what you have made. Okay, then we go up. This is the what labelings do you want? The nutrient profile. Okay, so I have kept, I would like to add in dietary fiber. Okay, then anything else which you want, press the search bar and add in more details. Okay, and I have said yes, use Fazan's regulation and rounding up the kilojoules, so on and so forth. Okay, but anything else that you want to add in your label, please search and add. Okay, then you have ingredients. So over here with ingredients, I have said, yep, maybe say, I've kept it very simple. Pumpkin and wheat flour are my characterizing ingredients. Statement, yes, it may contain sort of statement is good to have because I have said that my say a pumpkin loaf may contain traces of soy and things like that. So it's good to have that statement. I don't have any of these say warning statements or advisory statements. Everything is like nil in my product, so I don't have to worry about that. Then yep, so yep, country is Australia, which is made in Australia. All right, and as Chris had advised, you can change the landscape portrait mode. Then I have said that yep, which rating would I like? You can do say for example energy plus 3 prescribed nutrients depending upon what is your preference, and all of these aesthetics you can play with. Shelf life, just again hypothetical example, used by 5 days. All right, now bring out the little arrow, okay, and generate your label. So over here you have analysis, okay, and here you have label. So analysis is, this is what it looks like. Okay, all the details. What does the label look like? It looks like this. So most important ingredients which you want in the labeling is wheat flour, pumpkin, but you can add in all the details that you want over here. As you know, if you go to the ingredients tab, okay, contains gluten, soy, may gluten, wheat, may contain soy. This is the example I was telling you, that is why I've added it. Microwave for 10 minutes, net weight is so and so, used by so and so date, made in Australia from Australian ingredients, because as I've said, like, you know, mine was 100%. And this is the health star rating with energy, saturated fat, sugar and sodium. Okay, so this is how you generate labels. So as I said, guys, the main difference between Chris's video and my video is that everything is vertical in nature. All of this is vertical. In Chris's video, everything was horizontal. It was right above on the tabs. Okay, but the logic behind it still does not change. So now with this new video, you should be competent to experiment this by yourself, do this by yourself, and play around it by yourself. Okay, so now I will leave the labeling up to you, and try to maximize your learning and experiment. Okay, so I hope this helps, and yes, I'll upload this very soon so nobody else is freaking out, and everybody is having good understanding. Okay.